Shalom Aleichem again, our weekly project of Kol Roy Yerushalayim, a few minutes of Chizuk on the weekly Parsha. We're holding over here in Parshas Pikudei. So, a very interesting Rashi points out over here that Moshe Rabbeinu came after he saw that Klal Yisrael was fulfilling all of the protim, all of the detailed things that they needed to do for the Mishkan and everything else. The Rashi brings down that Moshe Rabbeinu said, Yehiratzoin, Shetisha Shechina, B'maisei Yedechem. It should be the will of Hashem that you guys who did everything according to the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded you to do, you should have a tremendous amount of Siyatta Dishmaya, you should have Shechina, should be Shoire in all of your Maaseh Yadechem. Very interestingly to point out is that this is something which is so important in our Avodas Hashem. Right? A person sometimes can have a challenge. He wants to go and fulfill a certain mitzvah. He wants to go and fulfill a certain thing. He wants to do a certain limud, whatever the case may be. Sometimes the Yetzer Hara comes and says, maybe do it a little bit like this, maybe do it a little bit like that. Change a little bit. Don't do it exactly the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to do it. And it can come out that we don't do things and fulfill it exactly the way Hashem wants us to do. Sometimes we're faced with a certain mitzvah, a person doesn't have time, a person he knows they has to put on tefillin, but he's in a rush, or a person's davening, and he speaks it during a time when he's not allowed to be speaking, but he speaks anyways just because he wants to get something out of his mouth, to tell his friend something. We're faced with all these challenges every day of doing things that are not always exactly the way Hashem wants us to do it. And we see that Chaval, look what we're missing out on. We're missing out on a tremendous amount of bracha in our lives. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu told us that after he saw that Klal Yisrael did everything that Klal Yisrael was supposed to do the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded them, then he said, Yehiratzoin, it should be the will of Hashem that you guys should have the Shechina, should be Shoire b'chol Maaseh Yadechem. In your work, when you go to work, you're going to see Shefa of Parnasa. Why? Because when it came to everything you did it straight, you did it right. I want to share also one more small thing. And this is in regards to everything in our lives, Chinuch Habonim, of course, in our Hatzlacha, in all areas of life. Somebody once came over to the Brisker Rav and he told him, listen, how are you, the Brisker Rav, Zoiche, to have so many Talmidim and your children, unbelievable, your children were Gedolei Yisrael, Gedolei Torah. How did you get to that stage? How did you get to that schus? And he told them, the trick is very simple. It's called when the mother of the child sits by the Neros Erev Shabbos and she cries and she cries and she cries for the tzach of the children, that brings a tremendous bracha. So not only do we see that Moshe Rabbeinu told us that we have to go and do things the way Hashem asks us to do it, then we'll see a tremendous amount of bracha and shechina in our house, in our lives, and in everything that we do, our Maaseh Yadechem. But also, if you want to have more success and you want to see more nachas in the kids, also don't forget about that special tefillah. You have opportunity to daven, you have opportunity to go and daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and cry your heart out by the Neros. That's an unbelievable thing, and that's the reason why the Brisker Rav said that he was zeicha to the children he was zeicha to. One last thing about not veering off from the truth, from the path, right? Like I said before, an example, sometimes a person says, he knows he's not allowed to talk during davening, but the Yetzer Hara got him and he talked and he said something, and he didn't exactly fulfill the mitzvah of tefillah exactly the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted him to do, which was without davening. Somebody once said over like this, he said the Chazon Ish, who was a tremendous gadol, everybody knew the Chazon Ish in Eretz Yisrael was the biggest gadol, and one time there was a person who took a picture of the Chazon Ish, and someone said, if you want to sell it, that it should be more attractive to people, maybe make his eyes look a little bit clearer, maybe color in his beard a little bit. And he did that. He made all the different changes. And people said, what are you doing? This is not the Chazon Ish. This is a different person. And they realized at that moment, they said, you're right. That's the way we are. When we do things a little bit different, we just change it a little bit. HaKadosh Baruch Hu asked us, he said, hey, do this mitzvah like this. When we change the drop, there's no atzlacha, there's no bracha, there's no Siyatta Dishmaya. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should bench us. We should all have this bracha of Siyatta Dishmaya to be able to get to this point where we're able to do things straight, the way Hashem wants us to do, fulfill it the best way we can. And of course, everyone should have Shechina, should be Shoire, B'maaseh Yadechem, in Parnasa, in Atzlacha, in health, in nachas from children. Thank you all for listening. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and everyone should have a great day. Kol Tuv.